The chandeliers cast prismatic light across the Westwood Hotel ballroom, where Seattle's elite mingled in designer finery. 28-year-old Sarah Bennett adjusted her simple black dress and fought the urge to flee. As a sign language interpreter for the Seattle Children's Hospital Charity Gala, she needed this freelance job desperately. So far, no one had required her services. Then, she spotted her. In the corner, partially hidden behind a marble column, stood a teenage girl in a midnight blue dress. While everyone around her laughed and chatted, she remained silent, her eyes watchful. Despite her designer gown and diamond studs, something in her posture was immediately recognizable to Sarah. The girl was deaf, and no one was talking to her. A ripple of excitement surged through the crowd. Marcus Drake, tech billionaire and the evening's honored guest, had arrived. His company had donated millions to the children's hospital. Cameras flashed as people gravitated toward him. Sarah glanced back at the girl, noticing how she watched her father with a mixture of pride and resignation. Not once did Drake look in his daughter's direction. Taking a deep breath, Sarah crossed the room. As she neared, the girl's eyes widened in surprise. "Hello," Sarah signed. "I'm Sarah. What's your name?" The girl's face transformed, the careful mask of polite indifference falling away. "I'm Emma," she signed back quickly. "You know ASL? Are you deaf too?" "No, I'm an interpreter. I work at the children's hospital sometimes." "The one my father donated to?" Emma nodded. "I'm supposed to stand here and look pretty for photos later." "Well, until then, would you like some company that actually talks to you?" Emma's laugh was silent but expressive. "God, yes." As they conversed, Emma relaxed, her eyes brightening. She was smart, wickedly funny, and starved for real conversation. "I'm in my senior year." Sarah made a decision that would change all their lives. "Mr. Drake," she said aloud while signing, "my name is Sarah Bennett. I'm an interpreter, and I've been talking with your daughter. She's extraordinary." Drake blinked. "Thank you. Do you work for the event?" "Yes. But right now I'm just someone who thinks you should know what you're missing by not being able to communicate with Emma directly." His expression hardened. "Miss Bennett, I appreciate your concern, but my relationship with my daughter is private." "With all due respect, Mr. Drake, communication shouldn't be private. It should be accessible. Your daughter was standing alone all evening while everyone celebrated your generosity." "You've overstepped, Miss Bennett. Emma, we're leaving." Emma hesitated. "I'm sorry," she signed quickly. "Find me at Westridge Academy." The next morning, Sarah woke to a voicemail from her agency coordinator demanding she call back about a complaint. Her stomach dropped. With rent overdue and student loans piling up, she couldn't afford to lose clients. She called back with trembling fingers. "I can explain. Marcus Drake's office called this morning. They've requested you specifically for a private appointment at his home this afternoon." 3 hours later, Sarah found herself at the Drake estate overlooking Lake Washington. A housekeeper led her through halls adorned with museum-quality art, including a striking abstract painting. "Emma's work," the housekeeper commented. "She's quite talented." In his office, Marcus Drake stood as they entered. "Miss Bennett, thank you for coming. I owe you an apology. Your words last night were inappropriate in that setting, but not inaccurate. I've failed my daughter in significant ways." The vulnerability caught Sarah off guard. "That's why I've asked you here today. I want to hire you directly, not to interpret for Emma, but to teach me to sign. I should have learned years ago." Sarah sat back, genuinely surprised. "Learning ASL takes time and consistent practice. I'm prepared to commit to regular lessons over the next year at minimum." He named a compensation figure that made Sarah's eyes widen. "Would that interest you?" "Before I answer, may I ask why now?" "Last night I watched my daughter's face when you spoke to her. I realized I haven't seen her look that alive in years." Then this morning she left this on my desk. He handed Sarah a note. Dad, I know you're angry about what happened, but for 10 minutes someone saw me. If you really want to honor Mom's memory, remember what she always said. True healing begins with being heard. I haven't been heard in a long time. Emma. I've spent years throwing money at my daughter's deafness while failing to make the one investment that truly mattered, Drake said quietly. It's not too late. Emma is still young. She leaves for college next year. Harvard has accepted her. I have a limited window to repair what I've broken. I'd be happy to teach you ASL, but learning to sign is one thing. Rebuilding your relationship with Emma is another. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. Now there's someone else who would like to speak with you. The door opened and Emma entered. Seeing Sarah, she broke into a genuine smile. You came. Your father invited me. Emma's eyes darted between them. Why? I'll let Miss Bennett explain. I have a call in 5 minutes. Drake paused at the door. Emma, We'll talk later. After he left, Emma's hands moved rapidly. What's happening? Am I in trouble? Neither of us is in trouble. Your father has hired me to teach him ASL. Emma's hands froze, disbelief on her face. My father learning to sign? You're joking. I'm not. He seems very determined. Emma sank into a chair, her face showing hope and skepticism. He won't stick with it. Maybe this time will be different. Why would it be? Because this time he's not trying to fix you. He's trying to fix himself. 3 weeks later, Sarah sat across from Marcus Drake in his study, watching him struggle through fingerspelling. This is impossible, he muttered. I'm too old to learn a new language. You learned Mandarin for business deals. That was different. I was younger and it was... He trailed off, aware of the implication. More important? Sarah supplied neutrally. Over these weeks, Sarah had discovered that beneath his imposing exterior, Marcus Drake was brilliant in business, but emotionally stunted by grief. Let's practice something you might actually want to say to Emma. How about, I'm proud of you? Does she think I'm not proud of her? When was the last time you told her so directly? He didn't answer. Sarah demonstrated the sign and Drake mimicked her movements. Perfect. Now try, I love you. The simple hand sign seemed to overwhelm him. After attempting it, he abruptly stood and walked to the window. I haven't said those words to Emma since Catherine died. Not aloud and certainly not in sign. Why not? Because every time I look at her, I see Catherine. I see what we lost, what I failed to protect. The accident. You were driving. Drake nodded. Black ice. A truck jackknifed. I swerved, but we hit the guardrail. Catherine died instantly. Emma was in the back seat. The impact caused trauma to her auditory nerves. When she woke up, she couldn't hear anything. That wasn't your fault. Tell that to my 7-year-old daughter who woke up in a silent world without her mother. For months after, she would scream at night. I couldn't comfort her. The only thing that calmed her was drawing. And now she's an artist. A talented one. She's been accepted to Harvard's visual arts program. Catherine would have been so proud. Later that afternoon, Sarah met Emma at a coffee shop. These meetings had become regular, initially about discussing Drake's progress, but evolving into genuine friendship. So, how's my father doing? Actually, he's improving. He's more dedicated than you might think. I'll believe it when I see it. He told me about the accident today. Emma's hands stilled. He never talks about that. I think he carries a lot of guilt. He should. Not for the accident. That wasn't his fault, but for what came after. For disappearing when I needed him most. After Mom died, Dad sent me to specialized boarding schools for the deaf. We became strangers. When I finally came home at 15, it was like moving in with a polite acquaintance. You never told me why you left your school job. Budget cuts were the official reason, but the truth is, I was becoming too personally involved. I did things like drive deaf kids home when their parents forgot them. Maybe they were right. I've never been good at emotional distance. Is that why you confronted my father at the gala? Probably. It wasn't very professional. It was exactly what I needed. Even if nothing changes, you saw me. That matters. Their conversation shifted to Emma's art portfolio. You should come to my showcase next Friday at the school gallery. I'd love to. Will your father be there? Emma's expression clouded. He's been invited. He always makes an appearance. Donations to make, hands to shake. But he doesn't really see your art. He sees it as a hobby, not a calling. He thinks Harvard's business school would be more practical. Have you told him how important art is to you? How? We barely communicate about what time dinner is served. You could show him. Your art speaks volumes. Maybe it could bridge the gap words haven't. The following Friday, Sarah arrived at Westridge Academy's gallery early. Emma waved her over to a stunning collection dominant, in the center wall. Emma, these are incredible. The centerpiece was arresting. A large canvas divided into chaos on the left, transitioning to order on the right. The title read simply, After Silence. It's about the accident. The moment everything changed. Embedded in the chaotic section were barely discernible words, while the ordered side contained hands forming sign language. The words are things I remember hearing before I lost my hearing. The signs are the new language I had to learn. A murmur passed through the gallery. Marcus Drake had arrived. The headmaster hurried to greet him, but Drake surprised everyone by walking directly toward Emma's display. Your father is coming this way, Sarah signed quickly. Emma straightened, guarded as Drake approached. Then, in full view of the crowd, Marcus Drake raised his hands and slowly signed, These are beautiful. I'm proud of you. Emma's shock was visible. Then, with trembling fingers, she signed back, Thank you. As the showcase continued, Drake remained in front of Emma's paintings, studying each one intensely. You didn't tell me she was this talented, he said to Sarah. I did, actually. You just weren't ready to hear it. These aren't just good for a high school student. They're extraordinary. She's been trying to tell you things through her art for years. I've been a fool, haven't I? The lights dimmed. The headmaster took center stage, announcing the recipient of the Catherine Drake Memorial Scholarship for Excellence in Visual Arts, a full year at the Paris Institute of Fine Arts. This year's recipient has demonstrated remarkable talent. Miss Emma Drake. Applause erupted. Emma stood motionless, her expression showing shock, confusion, and anger. Then she walked quickly out of the gallery. Drake stepped forward. My daughter is understandably overwhelmed, if you'll excuse me. Sarah found them in an empty classroom. Emma's hands flew in rapid, furious signs. How could you? Using Mom's name without telling me, making decisions about my future without asking me. Drake looked helplessly at Sarah. I can't understand her when she signs that fast. Sarah translated. Emma was upset about the scholarship being created without her knowledge. I thought she'd be pleased. This is a prestigious opportunity. I don't want to go to Paris. I've been accepted at Harvard. I've planned for this for years. Harvard will still be there after. That's not the point. You've done this my entire life, decided what's best for me without asking what I want. I'm your father. It's my job to what? Control me? Ship me off whenever it's convenient? First all those boarding schools, now Paris? Those schools were to give you the best education for your situation. My situation? You mean my deafness or the fact that you couldn't bear to look at me after Mom died? That's not true. Isn't it? You sent me away for 9 years. 9 years. Do you know what that felt like? To be 7, suddenly deaf, my mother dead, and then abandoned by my father too? I was trying to protect you. I thought those schools would give you what I couldn't. What couldn't you give me? Drake's control broke. I couldn't understand what you were going through. Every time you'd try to tell me something and I couldn't understand, every time you'd cry and I couldn't comfort you. It was like losing you all over again. So instead of learning how to talk to me, you sent me away and threw money at the problem. I know how it looks. But I didn't send you away because I didn't want you. I sent you away because I was terrified of failing you worse. I needed my father, not community, not specialists, just you. I didn't know how to be what you needed. You didn't try. You're right. I took the coward's way out. And when you were finally home, we were strangers. I didn't know how to bridge that gap. Is that why you're learning to sign now? Yes. A long silence stretched between them. The scholarship. Did you really create it for Mom? She always believed art could heal. She would have been so proud of your talent. Why Paris? Why now? Because I saw your Harvard acceptance letter. Because I realized you'd be leaving soon and I'd missed so much already. Because part of me thought if you were in Paris instead of Cambridge, I'd have another year to learn how to talk to you before you were gone. Emma's expression softened. Dad, I wasn't planning to disappear from your life after high school. Weren't you? I wouldn't have blamed you. Understanding passed between them. I don't want to go to Paris. Harvard has been my dream. Drake nodded. Then Harvard it is. The scholarship can go to another student. But maybe we could go to Paris together sometime. Mom always wanted to take me there. Drake's eyes widened, then filled with emotion. I'd like that very much. Hesitantly, he raised his hands and signed slowly. I'm sorry I failed you. I love you, Emma. Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. Drake held her tightly, his eyes closed against tears. Over Emma's shoulder, he mouthed, "Thank you," to Sarah. Sarah slipped quietly from the room, giving them privacy. 6 months later, Sarah sat in the audience at Westridge Academy's graduation. As valedictorian, Emma delivered her address in sign language with a professional interpreter voicing her words. Emma's speech touched on communication, connection, and the courage to bridge divides. Her closing words brought tears to Sarah's eyes. In a world that often values only what can be heard, I've learned that the most important conversations happen in silence. My journey from silence to expression wouldn't have been possible without two people. My mother, who taught me that music exists even for those who can't hear it, and my father, who learned that love doesn't always need sound to be understood. After the ceremony, Sarah found herself face to face with both Drakes. We have something to show you, Emma sigged, Ned excitedly. Drake pulled out his phone, showing images of a spacious studio filled with natural light and art supplies. We've converted the East Wing into Emma's studio. She'll use it when she's home from Harvard. And that's not all, Emma signed. Tell her, Dad. Drake smiled genuinely. I've established a foundation in Catherine's name, the Drake Foundation for Deaf Education and the Arts. We'll be funding art therapy programs, sign language education, and scholarships. And all foundation staff will be required to learn ASL, no exceptions, Emma added proudly. That's wonderful. And we'd like you to be part of it, as our program director, if you're interested. Sarah stared at them in shock. Program director? Me? Who better? You're the one who taught us that communication isn't just about words. It's about actually seeing each other. Sarah looked between them, the brilliant, resilient young artist and the powerful businessman who had finally learned the most important language of all, and knew her answer immediately. I'd be honored.